Welcome to another edition of the Cheap Seats podcast. I need to not be in this corner, though. I need to not be in this corner. Listen, we can't put baby in the corner. Baby don't go in the corner. But welcome to that episode of the Cheap Seats podcast. I am Wire to Wire Gene from Wire to Wire Sports Podcast. In the upper left corner, I got the man on the ones and the twos. He's chomping at the bit. He's a little upset after a tough loss from his team yesterday, but he's still here with us. The Prince of Production for Sports Empire Network. It's Kyle Edwards.
What's up? What's up? I mean, the game yesterday was a little tough.
Then we got the host
live play-by-play, but it was all good.
I like the live play-by-play. I hopped in there as much as I could, but that game had my blood pressure running.
I know.
So I hopped out sometimes because I didn't want to say the wrong thing. So I really get heated. In the upper right corner, I got the fraud himself, Mr. Fraudulent. Duke basketball, Alabama football, the Yankees, the Lakers. I'm going to tear you up today, Jordan. From the JJL Sports Talk.
I'm about to.
If we're being honest, the JJL Sports Experience. It's an experience. He needs to change his goddamn name to that. I made it better for you. Don't worry if I write rhymes. I write checks. Jordan, Big J, Jean-Louis.
There you go. Finally, the first time to say it right. My last name right. You see, Gene Lewis or whatever. Anyways, I'm doing good, man. Gene, you say you're about to come at me, man. I'm about to knock you out like Javante Davis, man. So
I promise you, this show will be a lot of me and you going at each other.
Hey, man. At the end of the day, it's all about being best friends at the end of the day. So
I still love you. But I got kick your ass today. I have to.
I'm surprised you ain't gonna kick Kyle's ass for Jason Tatum's push off, man.
Jason Tatum definitely pushed off, but Kyle, you know the thing? It's so weird. I think Kyle's like the only Celtics fan I've ever gotten along with in life because I can't stand them. I can't stand Boston, anything. Like I hate Boston, everything. But the only thing I can't stand more than a Boston fan is I'm trying to think of the right name for it. I think we're going to start with this one. Can we start with this question? Because I feel like we're leading into it. The only thing I cannot stand, I don't know if you want to call them a front runner. I don't know if you want to call them fraudulent fans. I don't know what you want to call them, but I call them fans of the most popular team in every sport. So like Kyle, and I want you to answer, Jordan. I want you to stay on mute for 1 second because I'm gonna pull point. Kyle, what would you say the most talked about team is in college football?
Alabama.
25 years.
I'd probably say Alabama.
How about college basketball?
Duke.
What about baseball?
Yankees.
What about basketball?
Lakers.
And what about football?
Well, football's probably Cowboys.
So there are people on this earth that are fans of all of those teams, and none of them are even close to each other. So what I wanted to do is Jordan tried to explain this in the chat, and I promise you we'll get into the question and we'll debate it in a minute. But Jordan tried to explain this in the chat. What I want you to do is explain to the listeners at home how you became a Lakers, Yankees, Alabama, Duke fan.
So it's a floor mine and the floor open.
The floor is yours. I stop. I'm pausing.
All right. So, I mean, we forgot one team, which is kind of fair. The Ravens. That's explained.
But you know what? That's the only team I respect that you're a fan of. They're not. That's why I don't like. What?
Capitals for hockey. Since I'm Baltimore, like kind of like that.
No issue with me.
All right. So all right. So what we want to start with college football.
How'd you become a Bama fan?
So first of all,
Let's start with when. When did you become a Bama fan?
I became a Bama fan like my junior year of high school. So I'm 98. So I graduated high school in 2016. So 2015, I became maybe even earlier than that, a little bit, maybe before my junior year. I watched Nick Saban the first time.
2015?
Yeah, 2015, 2014, 20, around that time.
2015, Alabama won the national championship. How convenient. 2015, 2017, 2012, 2011.
I just like the first time I saw Saban, like I just, he's.
So Nick Saban is the reason that you like Alabama.
Yeah, because Nick Saban is, and plus the Ravens.
Why don't you like the University of Maryland?
I mean, they've never really been a good college football team. Like,
so because they're not good, you can't be a fan of them?
Well, technically, I was born in California, so I'm a California kid. So I'm not an East Coast kid.
I would accept USC.
Well, I was born in like Sacramento area, so Bay Area. So I should be a Warriors fan, Giants fan, San Francisco Giants fan, Sacramento Kings fan, but I was a baby at the time, so I didn't really like like obviously you and Kyle kind of have the knowledge about the older generation of basketball, but I grew up with the Kobe, LeBron era. I wish I saw the Jordan era. So that's Alabama. So Duke's fan.
My man Doug is in here. Doug, this section you came in the right time. This section is 100% about fans like you. Now, Doug, let me be clear. You broke everything down yesterday in the chat, and for everybody that's listening that didn't hear this, I respect Doug. Let me just say something very clear. Everybody asks me why you never come at Doug. You always come at Freddie and Jordan. You always don't come at Doug. Doug is my elder. I respect Doug. My man, big time. I respect him. He's been around longer than I have. And at what point I don't disrespect. My mom, my father would smack me upside my face if I disrespected someone with Doug's pedigree. So I don't. I back away from it. But I would love to, but I won't because I respect him. But Jordan, this is for you specifically because and the question is very simple. I'm going to read.
I thought you said the floor is mine. You kind of like cut me off. I was trying to explain my teams, but
yeah, but you were taking too long. I'm going to read you the question to understand why. All right? Should you have an allegiance to your hometown teams? What are your thoughts on fans of teams just because they're the most popular or they win the most championships throughout time? That's the question. So Jordan is a fan of the Lakers, Alabama, the Yankees, and Duke. So to me, that is what would you call a bandwagon fan? Like Jory said, a bandwagon fan.
I mean, I'm not a bandwagon fan, but it's not like I'm a KD guy.
But you became a fan of Alabama because Nick Saban was winning championships there.
And I respect Coach K for Duke. I mean, I wanted to go to Duke. I wanted to play basketball there out of high school.
So, but why Duke? Because they were winning a lot.
Because Duke is. Obviously I fell in love with like the school and like their broadcasting school, but I didn't get in because it was hard to get in there. But that's where I wanted to go. That's my top school. So out of high school. The Yankees fan. When I was in
why
Baltimore,
not be a Duke football fan?
I don't really know much about Duke. I didn't know they had a football team. I thought it was just like lacrosse and like basketball.
So that's my point. Loyalty is a thing. And my question to everybody out there would be, do you think you should have a loyalty to the area in which you're from, to where you grew up, to what you are like? I'm from Philadelphia. My dad, and maybe it's just me specifically, my dad would have beat my ass if I grew up and wanted to be a Cowboys fan. There was 3 things you couldn't do in life. You can't do drugs, you can't hit women, and you can't be a Cowboys fan. That was the truth. When I was a kid, I'm not trying to be smart when I say this. You could literally get in fistfights every day at school. You could play any sport you wanted. You could do anything you want in Philadelphia. But the one thing you couldn't be is a Cowboys fan. Juan has a comment. I want to read it. Bandwagon could go both ways. You can be a fan of a team because of a player. Same thing as if they're winning or not. Bandwagon a team or bandwagon a player. I get that. People follow LeBron throughout his whole career. I understand that. But like Jordan being like a LeBron fanboy right now, in 2009, did he hate LeBron? Was he one of those guys that was like Kobe is better than Bron?
I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I was a fan of Kobe before LeBron. Like, I every time I played the old NBA games, I would play with the Lakers, Lamar Odom and Jordan Fisher and Jordan Farmar. I mean, you see, I'm not no bandwagon fan. I know my Lakers, man. So, I mean, and then the Yankees fan. When I was in Baltimore, I was always a Yankees fan because I was playing like MLB The Show, and I was playing with like
you wanted to be the best team,
Giambi and Hideki Matsui and Ichiro.
You wanted to be the best team.
So every time Yankees came in town and played Baltimore, I was a Yankees fan. I sat behind, kind of like right behind the seats, right behind Alex Rodriguez. He gave me a high five, or he waved to me. I was like, "Hey, Jeter, man!" Like, so. Even though I was in Baltimore, I was supporting the Yankees.
Karam. I love this. Thunder, Oklahoma City. They don't let's just say he lives in that area. Born in OKC and lived in Dallas. So his fan base is literally Oklahoma City and Dallas. Kyle, I want to pass it to you because you haven't spoke on this much. Do you feel like that you should have allegiance to your hometown team?
I mean, I know that I do, so that's the way I kind of see fandom, but I can understand, like Kerm said, like if you're in OKC, there's only a couple of teams there. So if you like take like a bordering state or city and adopt those teams, I can understand that. You know, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a newer thing because I see a lot of people who are like Jordan, who might be Yankees, Lakers, Bama, Duke. Some of them might be in an area where, the college team is a laughing stock, so they, gravitate towards Alabama. Or they might be in a state where they don't have necessarily a basketball team, so they just pick the popular one because we know the Lakers are always in the news. The Lakers are talked about a lot. They're on primetime a lot, so maybe they become a fan of that team, and I can understand that as well. As long as I guess for me, I come to the point where it's like, if you have your team and you rep your team, then rep your team. Some of the people who, kind of like you said, Gene, where they were Heat fans when LeBron was there, then became Laker fans when he moved to LA. Those are the fans that I still can't kind of wrap my head around that.
But I can understand that more. If you were a Cavs, Heat, let me just follow me. If you were a Cavs, Heat, Cavs, Lakers fan, and your whole thing, like you were like, I'm a LeBron James fan. I'm going to follow his career and then go back to my original team when he retires. I gotta welcome Doug on. Doug, what's happening, big time? How you feeling?
Oh, I'm just sitting there, just got off work when I replied to I was saying I was just parking my truck and kept listening, and I don't like to interrupt people's shows, but
I love it. I don't mind.
When I hear this type of stuff, then I gotta go on, see, you have the young people's response, and no disrespect to my guy Jordan over there, but then you get the real, and I said the real fans.
Okay, I love it. Let's hear it.
So that's the difference. But since this is your show, hey Kyle,
so
Gene, my
he's
man.
Sweating, man. He's nervous.
He's
fucking.
One thing about Gene is what you call a pro's pro, and the reason why I say that is because he knows his take, whether it's wrong or right. He's gonna stand by his take, and you're gonna have to really crush him to really get him to change his mind. But since it's your show, Gene and Kyle, I don't even want to interrupt because I didn't catch the last two. I didn't catch the last question, but I just let you answer. See, for those that change, see, I'm not one. I've been rolling with the same team, 1979. I've been with the Cowboys, 1977. Been with the Yankees, 1977. There has been no other team for me. There's been no A team, and then I got a B team.
But see,
I've never had that.
But big time, that's the thing right there. You said you were born around Memphis, right?
I am born and raised in Memphis, live here now.
So I don't have an issue with a fan like you. You were part of the 1% of that fan base that I actually respect. And I mean it when I say there's 1% of you guys out there. And it's not a bad take to have. It's not a bad take to say, like, if you look at a guy like Jordan, and nothing against Jordan, I love Jordan. Jordan's one of my favorite people in the world. We joke around a lot, but I love Jordan. But if you take a guy like Jordan, I became a Bama fan in 2015 because I liked Nick Saban. Well, they were just winning college football games.
I like how they play.
They were just winning college football games. I became a Duke fan because Coach K was there and they were winning college basketball games. There was no loyalty. There's no ups and downs. They're good, so I'm a fan of them. Now, Freddie is somebody I'm glad that hopped on the show because 2 years ago when I met Freddie, or a year and a half ago when I met Freddie, he was bragging that his Los Angeles Rams had just won the Super Bowl. They were Super Bowl champion LA Rams, and his Rams were going to be better than my Eagles. And I said, nah, man. And the Rams started off awful, and 6 weeks into the season, he was a Giants fan. And to me, a guy that's from Marshall, Texas, and California, how in the world are you a Giants fan? Like it doesn't register with me. You've been a fan of a team from 77 and 79 big time. So the way I look at it is this, right? You might have liked the Cowboys in the 70s when they were really good, but you also had to stick with them through the early 2000s, 2000 to 2010 when they were awful. You might have loved the Lakers in the 80s during Showtime, but you had to stick with them from 92 to 96 when they were awful. Freddie celebrated the Super Bowl. And then
bought the hat, bought the T-shirt.
Oh man!
Got on his podcast. Brag.
Freddie's a real fraudulent.
Brag.
Hold on.
I'm not a bandwagon fan.
Hold on,
man.
Jordan. You can't.
I've been riding with my teams. I've been riding with my team.
Hold on, Jordan. You can't call nobody fraudulent. You root for a team just because they win. Okay, so
no.
Yes, you did.
I have reasons why I like my teams.
Jordan, you said, I rooted for the Duke because I like Coach K. I rooted for Alabama.
I mean, obviously, when Gene cut me off, I wasn't finished explaining myself, but he said I took too long.
But listen, Gene, let me explain myself, sir.
Okay.
I was born in California. Okay. I was a diehard Laker fan. My family is a Laker fan. That's where I come up from. That's all I know.
That's the only fan base that I respect that you like, though. I have no problem with you being a Laker fan.
I grew up loving Eli Manning. I like Eli Manning. That's why I became a Giants fan. And
Eli Manning?
Yes, because of Eli Manning. Yes.
So hold on. When you were a kid, you were like, wherever Eli Manning goes, I'm gonna be a fan of that franchise.
Yes.
So that's how you became a Giants fan.
Yes.
Now, where you lose me is this: when the Giants were terrible from 2013 to 2020, you abandoned ship.
The reason why I abandoned ship, and I'll say it one more time, is because of the whole Brian Flores situation. That is the whole reason why. The reason why I decided to make the switch, because I did not like how they treated Brian Flores. How that whole the Looney rule and all that, I could not stand that. So I became.
You got to get the guy's name right. Art Rooney is the Rooney rule is
Rooney rule. That's what I mean. I'm sorry, the Rooney rule.
Making sure, like you cannot get that guy's name wrong because that rule is very important.
Yeah, I think the rule is dumb. I think they need to redo it. I think it's not in place. They did not implement it the right way, in my opinion. Then thirdly, I'm a forgiving man, Gene. If you do something wrong by me, I'm going to forgive you, but that's the type of guy I am. So I forgave him. That's why I'm back with the Giants.
So you forgave him when the Rams started sucking?
No. It takes time. I don't know when that time happened.
And by the way, my question would be, when did the Brian Flores situation happen with New York? Because to me, that happened 2 off seasons ago.
That's what I'm saying. I gave him time.
But that was the same off season the Rams had won the Super Bowl already.
No.
He was the coach of the Miami Dolphins and he got let go, and he had the interview with New York when Bill Belichick sent him the.
They won Super Bowl afterwards. They won a Super Bowl afterwards. After that,
I don't think that's accurate.
well, you can go look it up. There's a timeline for everything.
All right, I mean, I looked the timeline up, but see, I had no problem with your Lakers fandom. What I had an issue was you celebrated a Rams Super Bowl. Can't do that.
And if
You have to ride or die with your team, and that's all I'll take. If you are with your team through the worst of worst, like Big Tom was a fan of the Cowboys through Quincy Carter. He rooted for Quincy Carter.
You better hurry and know it. No question about it. The list goes on and on. Antonio Brown. I mean, my goodness, all of Dave Campo as the coach. Everything. I mean, it's no change with me. That's a sign of true fandom. You may even have a favorite player from another team. Like I'm one of the biggest Cowboy fans you ever had, but my favorite player was Ray Lewis. That you can do that, but I didn't really necessarily a diehard Baltimore Raven fan. I love, just like Jordan said, that I love the way that Ray Lewis played. I like that, but make no mistake about it, my loyalty. I've never had another team. I watch other teams. I like the way other teams play, but my loyalty is with one team every place where I go. That's the way I've always been.
And I
So
get it.
ain't nobody take it from me. So I mean, I know.
Hold on, bring Cottrell comment. Cottrell, Gene don't bully me, my brother. He might bully Jordan. He might get Jordan all worked up out of shit. He don't bully me.
I don't bully nobody.
You
I
try
have
to bully Jordan.
conversations and ask questions.
He
And
ain't
if you
bullying
answer a
nobody.
question suspect, I answer further
You
questions.
try to bully Jordan.
No. Jordan says things that need follow-up questions.
Y'all hate me because I because my teams are winning. You know what I'm saying?
You picked
And I
the
picked
team
and I
that
picked the
wins.
teams. I grew up watching those teams. I've never been a fan of the or I've never been a fan. I've always been a Yankees fan. I know, like I shouldn't have to explain myself to y'all why I like these teams. I shouldn't have.
So you grew up a fan of the Yankees when you lived around the Orioles.
I mean, yeah. I mean, and the answer to your question,
Why?
Gene,
Because the Orioles weren't good.
and the answer to your question, Gene, I think that it depends on like where you're born. Because I was born in California, and I don't like I never went back to California, so I always stayed on the East Coast. So
let me say this, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Jordan. But let me say this, because Gene brings up a point that a lot of people have that is kind of tied into the hometown team. Let me explain something, at least from my standpoint. When I was growing up as a kid, I was born in 1973, so I'm 50 right now.
Okay.
There was no cable until 1982. All right. This is Memphis. We didn't have a professional sports team. Our biggest celebrity was Jerry the King Lawler. That's wrestling.
Yeah.
The only thing that we had is, as far as professional sports team, we had a AA team here that was affiliated with the St. Louis Cardinals. They were called then the Memphis Chicks. Now they're called the Memphis Redbirds. We had the USFL in '85, which was the Memphis Showboats that you see now. So we're talking pretty much the 80s. So the only TV coverage were your local channels. They only put on at the time the teams that were going to give ratings. At that particular time, it was the Cowboys, it was the Pittsburgh Steelers. And later in the 80s, it was the San Francisco 49ers who would get the late game. What other choice did people like me, as far as my town goes? You had to latch on to a team because that's all you had at the time. That's all we saw. That's the only game we had. It was nothing like what we have today. We didn't have the package that we have now and all the stream. We don't have that. All you had was you had to get there at 12 o'clock. If you didn't see your team, you were done. You had to watch the highlights on Monday Night Football with Hal Cosell and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Then Memphis, I'm sorry, Gene, real quick.
You're good.
The Memphis Grizzlies came here. Previous, they were the Vancouver Grizzlies, team from Canada. Well, they came here in the 90s. My goodness, for a person like me, I was already dug into the Lakers for almost 20 years. Do I care if a team from Canada, no disrespect to the Canadians, please don't get me wrong. Do I care if they come here? The Vancouver Grizzlies is kind of like also the Houston Texans, excuse me, the Houston Texas. I'm sorry.
The Oilers.
Tennessee Titans
Yep.
came before they came there to Houston Oilers. They came to Memphis for a couple seasons till their stadium got built, and then went on to Nashville. Where they from Houston. Just because they're from Tennessee does not mean that my fandom automatically should go to the home team. Nor does it mean that when they play my team, and just because they're the hometown team, that means that I should be cheering for the Memphis Grizzlies. I like the Grizzlies.
No,
I'll
but if
tell
you're
you.
dug into your fan base already, let me give you an example of what I mean big time. If the Philadelphia Eagles had a dispute with Philadelphia and moved to like South Carolina, and then a new team 20 years from now came and they were the Philadelphia Eagles, and I was a South Carolina fan because the Eagles that I was a fan of moved out of the town, then I would understand that. It's the team that you latch on to, your first team, the team that you follow. The question that I was posing for everyone was, if you have a hometown team when you're growing up and you were born and raised in that area, example, Boston, Philadelphia, Miami, whatever, Los Angeles, Dallas, should you have an allegiance to that team? That's the question.
No. Nope. You love who you love. You know what I'm saying? That's what it boils down to.
Thank
You
you.
love who you love. It's
And
just
I
that simple.
disagree. I think you should love your city.
And to prove my point, Gene, and you should understand this better than anybody. Since you live in Philly, am I right about that?
Right outside Philly. I'm born and raised in
Right
Philly.
outside Philly. Then answer this question. When your Dallas Cowboys come to Philadelphia, why are there so many Dallas Cowboy fans in this stadium?
I
and
call
they
them
live in
cockroaches.
Philly? Oh, okay. Well, that's what we call them. So be it. All right, I rest my case. You see what
The
I'm saying?
reason there's so many Cowboys fans from
In
Philadelphia,
Philly, that live in Philly.
let me explain to you. I will give you this answer. They were born one of two ways. Three ways. But the third way is very infrequent. Okay? We'll start with the third way. We'll make it easier. My father was a Cowboys fan. I became a Cowboys fan. He taught me to be a Cowboys fan. That's number three. I was born and raised that way when I was a kid. My dad told me I could be a Cowboys fan. I'm a Cowboys fan. That's the one I accept, somewhat acceptable. The second one is the 90s, baby. It's the one that when the Eagles stunk in the 90s, they watched the Cowboys on TV and they're like, this is the best team, and they were front runners. And they jumped on the bandwagon of the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s because they were America's team and they were always nationally televised. And they had the Star and Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith. And the third one, and this is the most popular one in Philadelphia, is they're just born haters. They like to be the opposite of what everyone else is. If everybody else wants chocolate, they want vanilla. If everybody else is saying, let's go left, they want to go right. They are the born haters. So the only one I respect is the one that my father raised me into this. My dad's a Cowboys fan, and we've been Cowboys fans our whole lives. And I respect that. But the other two, Philadelphia is a city that takes pride in what we are. We're a blue-collar city that works our ass off and takes pride in what we have. The Dallas Cowboys are an elitist franchise. They're the most expensive franchise in all sports. They're worth the most money. They have the biggest stadium. They spend the most money on everything. They're an elitist franchise. And what does a blue-collar worker hate more than an elitist?
Well, my only answer to that is that there are a lot of haters because everywhere we go, we stand out in every stadium. We're everywhere. And they're usually, when you look at the stadiums, they're split. And even in a great city like your city, or somebody put a comment in here about there are more Cowboy fans in DC than there are, it just about it. And that's just true. All you got to do is look at the game.
It ain't split in Philly, I'll tell you that.
Well,
Baltimore
I would
either.
agree with you on that, but there are a lot of Cowboy fans that are in those stands when we play y'all. And at the same time, when I just went to the last game, and I'm sorry, Kyle, I'm sorry, brother, I ain't mean to do this, but when I went to the game last year, when in live and in person with the Cowboys in Philadelphia on that Monday night game, I'm sorry, yeah, last year. The Philly fans were loaded in Dallas. And because it's the same thing, just flipped the other way around. There are plenty of Philadelphia fans that live in Dallas. So it's the same thing everywhere. You know, you can't do it.
Most of those Philadelphia fans that live in Dallas, big time, are people that moved there. They're not people that were born and raised in Dallas that are Eagles fans. Philadelphia is a pride with the city. I'm telling you right now, from a person that's from Philadelphia, I very, very rarely meet a person that was born outside the city of Philadelphia, nowhere near the region, that just became a Philadelphia fan.
My cousin's
Philadelphia is different people. I agree with that.
My cousin's one of those fans.
It's very infrequent.
Fred, I love you, but you kind of disqualified from talking because while we still remember you with I love you, brother, but you did change teams. I mean, in the middle out of nowhere. So when the Cowboys beat the Rams last year, we ain't heard nothing else from you about the Rams no more. You switched hats so fast. I was messed up. I actually asked you, I said, Freddie, didn't you just cheer for Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp? I mean, I remember that. And then all of a sudden,
let me clarify something, Gene. Big time. Let me clarify something. First off, I'm not gonna come at you or Jordan because right now we're united.
I'm sorry.
But number two,
I'm sorry, Fred. I'm sorry.
I still have love for the Rams because they're from my hometown. Okay. They're from my hometown. Okay. But I'm a Giants fan.
Okay. But you're born in Inglewood or whatever the stadium is.
Okay. Close. Fontana.
I was born in Vallejo. So
we have another question that makes sense to bring in right now. There's a second part because I have 3 Lakers fans on here. Kyle, can I move right to my second question before we get into your and Jordan?
You might as well.
Right. So my second question for tonight and why you two are on here before we get into the third and the fourth is
go Kyle, because I'm about to do my show in about another 30 minutes and go ahead and I'm gonna get crazy with y'all for a second.
This won't take long.
Hold on, Gene. Hello to Meek. I got on to her for seeing me on the show and I commented. Hey.
Hi Tamika, how you doing?
Oh my God, he got fans.
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna literally pause here. I'm gonna go last because I don't wanna commandeer this conversation. But do you think that teams or players get special or preferential treatment in the NBA or the NFL? I'll give you an example and then I'll stop. Do you think the Dallas Cowboys get extra calls because of media ratings? Do you think the Los Angeles Lakers get extra calls because of the media ratings? Do you think superstars like LeBron James, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic get special treatment because of what they mean to the game? An example would be if a regular player, not Nikola Jokic, forearm shivered the owner of the Suns, would he have not been suspended for Game 5? If that was Michael Porter Jr., would he have been suspended for game? So my question would be, do you think teams get preferential calls based on ratings? And do you think the NBA and the NFL try to draw out series longer? Or do you think players get preferential treatment?
Kyle, let me go first.
Anthony Price, man. Oh my.
Let me go first. Do teams get preferential treatment? No. Because if the teams used to get preferential treatment, y'all wouldn't have this incredible narrative that the Cowboys ain't been to the Super Bowl since 1995. So we're going to kill that. If they're the most popular team, then the record just don't match up. So no, it's not teams. If you're good, you're good. I just eliminate and say players get preferential treatment. And it just not has started. Michael Jordan himself got all the calls. With Larry Bird, Magic, Kareem, Akeem Olajuwon, all those guys got the calls, and they got calls that were never called because they are the ticket to the ratings. You can't call the fouls on. Yeah, it's just the truth. You
That's
can't
interesting
call
how the
Akeem
ticket to the
Olajuwon.
ratings matters for the player, but not the team.
No, it matters for the TV coverage because they don't want to switch off.
But why
Nobody
does
ain't
it
watching.
matter for the player and not the team?
It matters for the player simply because it just goes on to add to whatever their number one, their career stat line. It adds to the chances for the team to win. You can't take out Joel Embiid right now. I know what James Harden just done, but you can't take out Joel Embiid
Joel
for a
Embiid should
long
have been
period of time.
ejected. Should have been ejected in that Brooklyn Nets series for kicking.
You
Claxton.
should have.
Should have been ejected, but he
He should
wasn't.
have.
And
He
I'll
should
admit
have.
that. I'm a Sixers fan that's very logical about
He
this.
should have, but because who he is, you don't kick out the MVP of the league.
I get it.
It's just that simple. It's a rule that's been in existence. LeBron James has earned the right to get the calls like Michael Jordan got, the calls like Kobe Bryant got. That if you just breathe on him too hard, he's going to the foul line. This is the way that it always has been in the
You're
NBA.
right.
Is it right? No.
No.
But is it that the way that it is? Yes.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, and let's throw in AD as well. When you have the reputation of a 75th all-time player, in which Steph Curry is on, in which LeBron and AD are on, let's just make it very clear. They're going to be in the game. They're going to get calls. It's just that simple. Now, I'll even go deeper because I'm getting ready to leave. This narrative about the free throw disparity, because I think that's somewhere slightly where you're going, Gene. Let me say this. The Golden State Warriors ain't going to the free throw line.
They're 30th in the league. I know
They
that.
shoot threes all game long. They don't have an inside game.
Unless maybe Wiggins, maybe.
LeBron for 20 years has driven the basketball. He's going to get calls. Anthony Davis plays on the inside. He's going to get calls. So what we have in this series is a bunch of three-point shootout contests against guys who bang. Of course, we going to out free throw the Warriors. It's only common sense. So yes, the calls are supposed to happen, but at the same time, Gene, I will say this about the Warriors. You can't touch Steph Curry. You can't touch him because if you do, you're going to foul out of the game. Now, it all depends on how the refs and how they're letting them play, which we'll see tonight in a few more minutes, a little bit later tonight. We'll see how physical they let them get, climbing over screens, running through screens. We'll get to see, but it's not even a factor. If you touch LeBron James, as they did back when he was a rookie, he's going to the free throw line. It's no question. If you touch AD, he's going to the free throw line.
Yep.
In opposed to Looney, if you touch Looney, they're gonna say it was good defense, even though he got an elbow in his rib. So I'm through with it. It's reputation.
This question Gene proposed is very loaded. It's low. It's more loaded than a baked potato. Let's just be honest. And Gene, I must say, you're very clever, sir. You're very clever.
He's trying to be.
That's why they call you wire to wire Gene. Okay, you're very clever, gentleman. I will give you that. But I don't have much more to say because Big Time stole all the pointers I was going to bring out.
Let me reply to Big Time then if you ain't got much more to say. I want to reply to what he said because I think that what he said, most of it is extremely accurate. I do think the one thing that he won't admit that is accurate, and I think if you polled most sports fans that weren't a fan of that specific team, they would tell you, and listen, we can ask Kyle. Kyle's not a fan of the Lakers or the Cowboys, but my question would be, why would players get that preferential treatment and not teams? Listen, let's all be honest for a minute, okay? The NFL is better when the Cowboys are a good football team. Because as many people that love the Cowboys throughout the country, there's equally, or if not more, teams that want them to lose, that hate them. It develops a passion or a fanatic in someone. I genuinely cannot stand the Los Angeles Lakers. So I have 3 teams that I root for. The 76ers and whoever plays Boston and LA. I root for, and that's just me. That's because when I watch a Lakers game and I try to be unbiased when I watch it, and I'm not talking about the playoffs, because I'll be honest with you, I don't think either one of the games that the Lakers won versus Golden State this series, or games 5 or 6 that the Lakers won over Memphis would have changed if the officiating was completely against the Lakers. I'm not saying it's the reason they won or lost the game, but what I am saying is if you go watch a Lakers fan game and don't think that they get preferential, I'm not talking about just LeBron. Austin Reeves is now getting ticky-tack called for him. Like, why? I don't agree with that. And I think that what ends up happening
you
is
got to realize that they attack
just go to your
paint.
show, man.
They attack the paint. Austin Reeves is another guy that attacks the paint. I mean, let's just be honest. Like, if you are a team that lives in the paint, which the Lakers do, they live in the paint. They're going to get the calls, Gene. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, they're attacking guys. So why don't we say, hey, go to state instead of fouling, put your hands up. Don't foul them. Why can't we say that? Even Steve Kerr came out and said that that he's not blaming the officials. He's blaming his guys for lack of discipline.
Well, Big Tom, if you have to get out of here, brother, I want to thank you for stopping on.
I was supposed to start at 7, but I got just a couple minutes,
Okay, well, whenever you want to go, let me.
The thing that I have not heard, and I'm done. The thing that I have not heard is this. What I've heard from Laker quote unquote haters is this. The referees are helping them out, all that kind of stuff. But what I haven't heard is what the real truth is. The real truth is this, Gene. A lot of reason why a lot of people that are having a problem with the Lakers is because they have confused vision. Because everybody's trying to think that these are the same Lakers when they had Russell Westbrook and Pat Bev.
Not true.
Here are the facts. Since this is Wire to Wire podcast and Gene talks about the truth, the Lakers are the #1 defensive team in the NBA since the trade deadline. They had the #1 record in the Western Conference since the trade deadline, which means the Lakers, the bottom line is they've been kicking butt. That's the bottom line. They are the #1 defense. They are the #1 team in blocks since the trade deadline. They are the #1 defense. They are #1 in rebounds. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're #1 in just about every statistical category, guess what's going to happen? You're going to win a lot of ball games. So since that's the case, and those are the facts, let's just go ahead and just say this. The Lakers probably right now are really a better basketball team. How about that?
They're a better basketball team than they were at the beginning of the season. I don't think anybody.
They're better than the Memphis Grizzlies. We proved that.
Not a fully healthy Grizzlies team.
I ain't got nothing to do with that. My guys are hurt playing right now. My guys are hurting right now. Okay, and then we dealing with an old man, as y'all like to say, and he's doing well. Andy Davis ain't 100% healthy. Then we're about, and I'm going on record tonight. The Lakers are going to beat the Golden State Warriors tonight, 3-1, take control of the series. And if you really believe that they're going to beat us 3 games in a row, I feel sorry for you. They'll win Game 5, and we're going to close them out in 6. After we beat the champions, then what are y'all going to say? Because see, then you're gonna jump from another bandwagon. You done lost the Grizzly bandwagon. Then we took out the champs.
It's not a bandwagon.
Now you're gonna put all your hopes on Kevin Durant.
It's not a bandwagon.
Oh,
My friend, it's a very, very, very direct statement. I actively root against the Lakers. It's not a bandwagon.
I get it.
It's not a bandwagon. Can I ask you a question, though, Big Tom?
Go ahead.
Do you think that do you think there's any other teams in the league that play physical and drive to the hole? Any other team?
Yes. Your team.
So hold on.
Your team, #1.
Okay,
they do that.
Do you think our team gets the fair share of free throw calls that
Joel Embiid does?
Okay,
Joel
so
Embiid
why do the Lakers shoot 300 more free throws than any other team in basketball?
Because they dropped
Tell me a
Hold on.
team in the West other than
It's
Denver.
not the West.
Oh, no. I'm going to the West.
Can I answer that?
Look, just tell me a team other than Denver with Jokic who plays the inside game.
Philadelphia 76ers.
No, I said the West.
But that's not the question. The question is, in the whole NBA,
I stay
they
with you.
shot 300 more free throws than any other team in basketball.
Can I tell you?
I've already explained it.
Let me explain
LeBron
this big
James,
time.
you gonna get
Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Marcus
Big time.
Smart.
Let me answer the question.
Go ahead, Fred. Go ahead.
Within just beginning and end, Gene, we've had 5 to 6 guys on this roster that attacks the paint. Russell Westbrook has been a guy that's been known to live at the free throw line his career. He's been known for that.
James Harden had it.
LeBron, AD, they've been known for that.
Tobias Harris?
No.
Not Tobias. No, I'm not going to use
Tobias drives the hole.
James shoots more threes than he drives in. He shoots more mid jumpers and all that. We know that. Come on.
James Harden was second in the league in shooting free throws last year.
And then Austin Reeves has been this guy that's been this crafty guard that's been able to get guys when he go for his pump shot, the shot. They jump.
So you think there's nothing wrong that they shot over 300 more free throws?
No, that's their makeup. No,
that's the game.
Absolutely,
that's their makeup.
That's just old school basketball.
Kyle, from a non-Lakers perspective, is there anything wrong with that?
I mean, look, I watch Celtics games. I see Tatum and Brown go to the hoop, and they don't get a lot of calls. Now, look, I get it. I get LeBron. I get AD. But Austin Reeves, man. Austin Reeves gets some games I've seen Austin Reeves get way more respect than Tatum gets from refs.
You also see Austin Reeves get clobbered too, don't you?
No, but
stuff like that. I understand that if you're gonna get clobbered, you got to call that. But if Austin Reeves can go to the hoop, get a little touch, throw his head
what
back.
About Russell Westbrook, Kyle? What about Russell Westbrook?
What about him?
That's where a lot of our free throws came from.
Russell Westbrook. Because Russell Westbrook can't shoot. He has to get to the rim. I understand that with Westbrook. I have no problem with Westbrook. It's funny you talking about Westbrook because I thought once Westbrook left LA, Freddie, I thought you pushed him aside, but now you're talking about
I did, but Gene mentioned about the 300 free throws of the year. Russ was on the roster this year.
Yeah.
The discrepancy on the year for them to be 300 more free throws than their opponents over the course of a year is absurd. It's never happened in the NBA ever. Not with Michael Jordan, not with Kobe Bryant. There's never been a discrepancy from team 1 to team 2 of over 300.
So let me get this right, Gene. You're saying, let me clarify this.
Sure.
Oh, the only reason why, and ladies and gentlemen, let me put some clarification.
Said the only reason why.
Hold on. Gene is a guy that said that the Lakers would not be where we are today. He's a guy that said we would not make it to the playoffs. Gene said that from wire to wire. Gene, he said that.
You're right.
So
listen. First of all, you kind of changed the narrative, and both of you guys agree with this, but you kind of changed the narrative of what I said. What I didn't say, I said you guys need to make the playoffs first. You guys need to make the play-in game first.
No, in December, November, December, you were saying we were not going to make it.
Okay, you can't interrupt me if you're not going to let me reply. So what I said was, I'm tired of hearing about an under 500 basketball team. Let me state something on this podcast so you can all hear it and all understand it. The Los Angeles Lakers are a much better team than they were at the beginning of the season. They are a much better team than I gave them credit for. They are playing great, not good, great basketball. They are a top 5 team in the NBA, in my opinion, right now. Okay? Did you get all the credit that you need? Can I stop now? Do I have to continue to kiss your ass because the Lakers are playing better now?
It doesn't feel sincere.
But what I'm talking about, back in November and December when you said this team will not make it to the
playoffs. They weren't a playoff team in November and December.
I kept saying, just wait, we'll be there.
I was there with Gene. I said a lot of the same stuff that Gene said.
You got to give Rob Pelinka all the credit in the world for making bean sprouts out of magic beans and taking the zero assets that you guys had and turning them into Vanderbilt, D'Angelo Russell. Like, I didn't think Westbrook was a movable contract, and you got him moved out. And not only did you get him moved out, you got him moved out for value. Darvin Ham has done a great job. And personally speaking, he's coached like a top 5 NBA coach.
And that's why in November I was telling y'all, just wait. And Gene kept saying, "Oh, we're gonna hear about this November, December, January, February." We
every day in the chat, you and Jordan
I
be
said,
like,
"Just
hey,
wait,"
we're only
because I knew it was
out
gonna
of
happen.
10.
We were.
I knew it was
All
gonna
we
happen.
said was, when y'all get in the plane, when you get to the 6th spot, whatever, then you can talk about it. We don't have to hear about it every day.
Yeah, we're talking right now.
3 games out.
And you got to
Freddie's
hear
talking
it.
about Freddie.
And we're up
That
2-1
was the
against the
problem.
Warriors. It better be 3-1 tonight. So
I got the
let it
Golden
happen.
State Warriors.
we got to play in, but yeah.
Even though Freddie said
I
y'all going to be
respect
top
that,
6.
man.
But
Wear
all
that
good.
jersey all day. I respect that, man.
I mean,
Oh, I
let
need
me
to go get the
get
other
ready for
man
my
jersey.
show,
I need to go get the other
y'all.
jersey on the
See,
20.
this is
Wear
what
that
you have a
one.
virtual
Wear
background.
that
It
one.
looks
I
ragged,
respect
man.
that one.
Yeah.
Wear that one. And listen, last thing I'm gonna say on this Lakers topic.
But yeah, I didn't even get to answer you the second part of your
Go
question.
ahead, Jordan. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say that it does depend on the player. Like Joe, like I agree that if like Caldwell Pope pushed the owner of the Phoenix, he would have got ejected. But even the owner came out and said, "Hey,
Hold on, before Big Tom leaves, can I give him a send off? Big Tom, I appreciate you talking to us, man.
Yeah.
I really do.
Man, I ain't got no problem with it. Kyle, you my guy, and Gene, you know you one of my favorites, man. You no doubt
Listen,
about it.
I love talking to you, and I respect
Jordan,
it.
you're a good dude, man. We'll catch it. And for those, I hate to do this, but hey, y'all want to hear some real honest, non-hate Laker talk? Y'all come on, out there, because this show right here is full of hate. But I holler at y'all.
All right, Big Tom.
All right, dude. No, I was saying that even last night the Suns owner was like, "Hey, I don't think you should eject him or whatever," but he did get fined today, Joker. But yeah, I guess it does depend on the player like LeBron or AD. And it's like Draymond, like it's about like towing a line with the refs. That whatever player can push the boundaries of a ref to toe that line. There's only a few players like Draymond Green, AD, LeBron, Tatum, in a sense, Brown. Those. But I kind of feel bad for the role players, like
yeah. But Draymond Green got ejected from a game and suspended for something I don't think was as egregious as what Joel Embiid did, and he didn't get ejected.
Yeah,
for being honest.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I think Embiid
superstars get
special treatment. Yeah, I don't think LeBron has ever got ejected before.
So my follow-up question would be, do you not think teams get preferential treatment?
Yes, it depends on the organization.
The Los Angeles
guarantee
Lakers.
Austin Reeves is not getting this treatment if he's not on the Lakers. I guarantee it.
The Dallas Cowboys.
He's just another guy.
You think the Dallas Cowboys get preferential treatment?
Of course.
See, that's the whole point I'm trying to make. Like, I want you to be able to see the Lakers through the eyes of someone that's not a fan.
Because they know if the Cowboys are not going to get those calls, they're going to lose. Well, so when they get those calls,
is my man just making the point for me?
Yes.
The reason the Lakers get the calls is because
the Cowboys with the Lakers.
The reason the Cowboys get the calls is because they're a great draw. They're a great media draw. When the Cowboys are good, the NFL does more business.
So you're saying the NBA is rigged in the playoffs?
I'm not saying it's rigged. I'm just saying when you have a situation to where the Lakers bring in a lot of friggin' money, they're going to give them an extra call or two to allow them to stick around in a series that they don't belong in.
I would say, I guess we'll see tonight, like where the rest favor. I mean, I think that
I bet you Kyle admits it. I bet you Kyle admits it. Because Tom Brady got every call.
Yeah, that's the situation. Brady.
That's the ultimate treatment.
Jordan, see what's it? You got
the ultimate treatment.
LeBron gets the ultimate treatment.
I'm saying Brady had the time where he had the 2-2. Remember that 2-2 era with the skirt and everything, like 50 calls and complaining about. That was back in the day, man. It's just like
there's never been a professional.
You know who could be blamed for that more than Brady? Peyton Manning. Manning, when he was at the Colts, they complained about
Yeah,
secondary
Juan did
guys
have a
beating
point.
up their wide receivers, and all of a sudden the league changed the rules on how wide receivers play against cornerbacks. That was all Peyton Manning, not
It
Brady. But I digress. It's like
he couldn't
So
throw the
y'all-
ball on Ty Law. That's literally where it came from.
So y'all
Ty
just
Law
don't.
would beat the crap out of Marvin Harrison at the line. I
Yep.
remember the games.
Anthony's coming at you, man.
No, Anthony's not coming at him. Anthony's
No,
saying statements that are accurate.
Didn't Brady cheat and still didn't get in trouble? Yeah.
He did get in trouble. He got suspended
Yeah.
for 4 games.
Oh, that's what Anthony.
He had
said.
his whole legacy tarnished for doing something that I don't even think was that bad. The inflating the football thing and deflating the football thing,
it
I
was
had
a joke.
very little issue with. The biggest issue I had was with Spygate. I had a huge issue with Spygate. Now, I know New England fans will argue that, like, well, you're allowed to record, but from the angle that they record it, but, like, I don't want to hear that. You got
That
and
was
then
the
they almost
problem,
got
but
caught
yes.
again. And then they almost got caught again with the Bengals. They get caught again with the Bengals having one of their media guys in the freaking booth. It's so that's not for here and there. The question, and we're going to get back to, we got 2 more questions to get into, but the question I'm asking is, do you think players and teams get preferential treatment in the NFL and the NBA? And I think the answer is yes. Dallas and LA, they get extra treatment.
But I think in this series, though, is this all about the 2 teams?
I don't think either game changes, Jordan.
The play
Any
style.
of them. The Lakers won that game by 40.
Yeah, because they got to the rim and got to the foul line. I mean, we saw what? It was a Phoenix game when Devin Booker. I mean, KD had a good game, but like 3rd, 4th quarter, that was the first foul shot of the game. Like,
The point I'm trying to make is, bro,
Mhm.
I'm not saying the Lakers have won the 2 games in this series because of the refs or cheating. What I'm saying is the Lakers get extra calls. And I believe that any team playing against the Lakers is battling an uphill battle. That's the truth. Just my opinion. Jordan, let's get into your question, friend.
yeah, I didn't. Okay, let me see. So mine was. So I don't fumble my words. All right. So mine was. Do you think a player is better off playing all 4 years, like in college football, other than college basketball players are able to declare for the draft after 1 year of eligibility? The reason why I asked that because it's like for experience. Like a football player, like really is.
Can I reword your question, please?
Well, I asked y'all earlier, so I had to, like, that's why I wanted to.
I like the question. I just want to read it a different way.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think a player is better off playing out all 4 years in college football or college basketball rather than declaring for the draft early?
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely.
So I'm going to answer. And by the way, Cottrell, yes, Joel gets extra calls. Yes. I don't think he gets the amount of calls that the Los Angeles Lakers do, but yes, he gets extra calls. All right. So let me answer this question. I think it depends on the player. So I don't think that if you gave a guy unlimited money, and what the NIL is essentially doing is giving people money to play college, I think, yes, they'll obviously benefit from playing all 4 years in college basketball, all 4 years. But in college football, the answer is no, because you only have so much toll on your body. Let me give you an example. I think one of the best running backs in the nation the last 2 years was Muhammad Ibrahim. Minnesota ran him into the ground. He went undrafted. He's got a repaired knee. He went undrafted. How much gas is left in that tank? And he's a college kid coming out.
He's the one with the ACL, right?
Yes.
The one ACL? Yeah.
But my point is,
yeah, that's why I just didn't know
basketball, if money was not a factor, yes, developing your game all 4 years in college would be better for the player.
Yeah, because
in college football, the answer would be no. You need to get out as fast as you can, make your money as fast as you possibly can in football, because you only have so much that the body can take. Yes, Achilles. I apologize.
Yeah, wait, Kyle. I thought Jory said the running back had no ACL on one.
So that
Is
was
that Abraham?
no, that was
Maybe I'm
Spears.
confused. Oh, okay.
That was
I was
Tajay
confused.
Spears.
Yeah, the reason why I just asked that because like I feel like with the NFL, there's really no room for error. If you want to go to the NFL because like the G League, I'm sorry, the NBA actually has a G League where if you don't perform in the NBA like right off the bat, you can actually improve and make a little money in the G League while improving, and then maybe get a team. But in the NFL, yeah, those 4 years of college are good and experience to like you learn under the if you're a freshman, you can learn under the sophomore, juniors, seniors, so you get that experience. But when you like your senior year, junior year, if you don't perform those 2 years or those last 2 years, then your chances of either making the pros small, maybe going to the AFL or like the XFL, but at least NBA players they have a little umbrella, like a bed they can lay on, and for the G League like Wiseman, like he was projected to be like the next big man for the
The
Warriors.
NFL has that too. They have
Did
the
they have
XFL, they have the
I
CFL.
guess.
There's other professional football leagues that aren't the NFL that people can get recruited out of. The problem with football is you're damaged goods. The more hits you take as a football player, the less people. Guys, like, remember Jadeveon Clowney? He makes a huge play in the bowl game, and they basically want him. They wanted him to sit out. They wanted him to sit out the entire year because they knew he was going to be a top draft pick, and they didn't want him to do anything to harm his status. How about Jamar Chase? Played in the national championship, sat out the entire COVID year, top 5 draft pick. Michael Parsons sat out the whole. They don't want you to continue playing. They don't want you to damage your goods in the NFL. In college basketball, playing more basketball is not really going to hurt you.
Like Jackson Smith, right from Ohio State.
Oh, don't get me started on him. He sat out the whole year because he had a hamstring injury. The whole year, a hamstring injury. Don't get me started. And the XFL is not the G League, but it still is a minor league type football.
I guess, yeah.
I do think the NFL probably would benefit if they were to maybe associate with like the XFL and use that as a G League type, because a lot of times when we see the NBA draft, what do we hear? Like after pick 3, it's all about this guy's potential, which is where guys who come out too early, they really struggle early on, because if I'm taking a guy 4th or 5th in the draft, I can't necessarily wait around for you to get up with the speed of the game. So that's where I think sometimes college basketball is beneficial, because yes, for every LeBron, there's like 3 billion Kwame Browns. Kwame Brown came out early, definitely couldn't handle the physicality, and skill-wise, he was not ready for it. And then look what happened to his career. Burnt out really quickly, and now he's forgotten. But the NFL, the reason why they make them stay so long is because of the physicality of the NFL. You know, they want guys bulking up in college, because a lot of these guys coming out of high school, if you imagine like a high school senior going to the NFL, no, that player would get killed week 1.
Yeah.
Whereas the NBA, it's the same game necessarily. It's just about you being your basketball IQ and all that helping you out.
Yeah, I mean, and before we get to the last topic for Kyle, is like another thing that I think that college football players benefit from having the 4 years, especially if you're a player on a big market team like Alabama or Georgia or like Clemson, like one of those teams that's like big in the media. They can have, it's not just about your play style, too. It's about how you deal yourself in the media too. So maybe they had that experience with the media and how to deal with like that kind of like that, like the press. Whereas you come out of the NBA, like, you know, some of them are still young out of high school, like you said, or, you know, have a 1 year of college. So they don't have enough of that media exposure, unless you're like a Bronny or like, you know, or DOA son or like whatever. Yeah, that's what I gotta say. So I think staying at 4 years out of college is benefit. You could get your education, you'll get your experience behind players, and then you get your opportunity. I mean, basketball, there's only like 15 roster spots, I guess, 12 roster spots. On a football team, there's like 53, or depending on what the sizes, so there's more chances for you to shine. But
So you think a football player should play all 4 years?
especially if you're a quarterback, yeah, I think. I mean, if you're a top quarterback, yeah, you should. You shouldn't. But if you're like like
What if you're running back?
Archie running back, depends
What
on
if
like
you're a wide
your.
receiver?
Yeah, I mean,
What if you're a safety? I think that when you're looking at football, you're always one hit away from ending your career. All I could say is look at guys like Willis McGahee, what he went through in college. Like, there's really bad injuries that happen on a college football field.
That's true.
That discredit someone's NFL career and make them drop. Let me ask you a question. Do you think, and this is what about Matt Barkley? Guy stayed an extra year at USC, and he was projected to go top 3 and end up going in the 4th round. He's already out of the NFL, staying an extra year in college. There's a lot of times that works in the adverse effect. I think in the NFL, with the amount of hits that you take and the situation that you're in, you got to get your money as fast as you possibly can.
I
don't understand, and I definitely understand when NFL players as a whole fight for contracts, especially that first big one.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, because I guess to go along with what you're saying, Gene, is like I've always said with NFL prospects, like if you get some advice that maybe you're a 3rd or a 4th round guy, I kind of feel like what's the harm in not just coming out? Because a lot of them, they'll say they stay an extra year to try to become a 2nd or a 1st round pick. That's a pretty big risk to take in a sport like football. Like you said, Willis McGahee, something like that could happen. And now you become 6th, 7th round because now there's injury concerns about you.
Look at Muhammad Ibrahim.
Yeah, but I'm saying like, if Ibrahim like junior year, somebody was like, "Oh, you're nothing more than like a 4th round pick." If I'm him, I'd be like, "Cool, then I'm declaring for the draft." Because as long as I get drafted somewhere, sure, it's not the 5 years of a 1st round pick, but 4 years guaranteed. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. And if you can make it, then you get that 2nd contract. And also for Cottrell, yes, I know Kwame Brown is the extreme.
Not just Kwame Brown, though. Dwan Wagner.
Robert Swift.
It's a ton of them. Yeah,
there's a bunch of them. Yeah, for every Kobe, KG, Dwight, and LeBron, there's a lot of them that came out. I remember because the Celtics drafted like 2 of them. Al Jefferson was a high school guy. He had a decent career, but it wasn't necessarily memorable. They also took a high flyer on his last name was Brown. I can't remember. He was a really good dunker, but that's literally all he could do, and he was out of the league in like 2-3 years. So yeah, just because Kobe and LeBron could do it, that's why I had the issue with that, letting high school kids in, because now every high school kid was like, "Oh, I'm just declaring because look, they could do it." Yeah, but those are generational guys. If you have that skill and you want to come as a high school player, more power to you. But not every one of them should feel like they can do that.
Yeah,
and that's where like advice from their inner circle comes into play as well.
Yeah, I don't know if college football has this, but I know like some players, like I know like Cliff, the center from Rutgers, in the NBA or college, they have like thing where like if you don't like if you slide in the NBA draft, you can like go back to college, like and finish out your senior year. I don't know if college football has that. If you like slide and go back to college or whatever, but that's another benefit that the college players have. If they don't make it, they can go back to where they like Rutgers or whatever. Because he had a post where he was like, "Oh, I'm going to declare for the draft. If I don't make it, I'll be back here like next year." It's kind of like that fallback.
Kyle, you got to start one, bench one, cut one, right?
Yep.
That's the last one.
Okay, Kyle, you start us off, brother.
All right. Yeah, I figured I'd make it a little difficult on this one.
Not that difficult for me.
It actually isn't for me the more I thought about it. I would start. Well, actually, the start and bench is the only tough one. The cut is very easy for me. I'm starting Hero.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
I have a reason for it because this is what, like I said, this was tough. I bench Maxey, I cut Poole. The Poole part was easy for me. It was between Maxey and Hero. Maxey, I'd only say for the bench is because with his energy and pace, I would love him in a sixth-man role. I think Hero, as a starter, he's going to create for himself and all that and do his thing. But just because of Maxi's speed and his energy level, I would want that coming off my bench. That's the only reason why. Not like it's a Hero's more talented than Maxi necessarily. I just like Maxi as a sixth man. Poole, I'm cutting. I thought it might be a little different, but Poole, I'm cutting Poole because he's way too streaky for me. I think his shot selection is questionable a lot of the time, and I just would cut him out of the three. I think he's the least reliable out of the three on here. I mean, at his highs, he's really good, but his lows are really low to the point where it's like unplayable at times.
You mean Jim? I had the same. I mean, I'm going Maxi starting, Tyler Hero off the bench, and then I'm cutting Poole. But I have Maxi because like I would say, I think Maxi he's a better
start.
He
bench
plays
cut.
Well. Yeah, huh?
No, Cottrell.
Yeah, I'll say Maxi start because like obviously Tyler Hero and Matthew are both young. But I feel like Maxi plays well with like Embiid and like he's a playmaker, and obviously he's not consistent with the shot. I can rely on him with the three ball. Poole, like you said, his bar is low, and that's shocking because he's playing with Curry. I feel like his bar would be a lot higher. But obviously he's on the second team on the bench. But Hero, like. If you would have put this poll or this thing up like when he was like the top dog like a couple years ago, like with the threes, like I feel like I'll put him starting, but he's inconsistent right now with the shot. So I have Maxi starting, benched Hero. It's not a bad thing. I'd rather have Hero because at least I have a 3-point shooter on the bench who can uplift and play, make, and dunk, and then Poole. Yeah, that's no surprise.
My man Cottrell comes through in the clutch again.
I mean, that is a good point. Yes, Maxi is the only adult here. That is.
I'm starting Tyrese Maxey, and it might be the homer in me. I just love the way he plays the game of basketball. He fits on every roster. He's a high energy, hardworking, smiles. He's never going to be a bad teammate. I'll take a Tyrese Maxey on any one of my rosters. Guy does whatever's best for the team. Doc wanted to sit him down, make him come off the bench. He said, no problem. Did whatever the team asked him to do. Tyrese Maxey is 100% my starter, and I don't think it's that close. My bench is Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole is just Tyler Hero with a bigger bag. That's just what he is. Jordan Poole can drop 30 in a game. I think he's the better shooter of the two of them. I think he can create a shot better. I think he can drive to the hole better. I think they're both minus defenders, if we're being honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
So I would start Maxey, I would bench Jordan Poole, and I would cut Tyler Hero. Okay. That's an interesting one. When you said I think it's that easy, like he's like the start bench won't be tough. I thought you were deciphering between Maxey and Poole, and you were actually deciphering between Tyler Hero and Maxey. You had Poole so far out of the equation, and I get it. Jordan Poole is definitely immature, and I think that hopefully he'll mature throughout the years.
Right? Yes,
he's the least mature person of the three of them. I just think his talent is too good, and I think that you've seen that in last year's NBA playoffs, what Jordan Poole can bring to a team. Anybody that can crack the rotation and make you think about not starting Klay Thompson is somebody that I can't argue with. I'm starting Maxey, though. I think Maxey, and I think Cottrell said it right. Maxey's the only adult here. The guy is 100% the most mature of the three players, does whatever it takes to win, and I love that about him. So I'm going Maxey, Poole, Hero.
Okay. I mean, like I said, I like Maxey's game a lot. Like I said, the reason why I'd have him on the bench is I feel like I would have him running the second unit, and he would be kind of free to completely be himself. A lot of times where I see him with Harden and Embiid on the court, it almost seems like those two, because of what they want to do on the court, they kind of forget about Maxey a lot of the time. That's why I get frustrated watching Philly, because I'm like, Maxey should be so much higher in the hierarchy to me because he's the one guy, if I kick it to him on the wing, there's a good chance he blows by that guy and he gets to the rim. But if they're just having him standing there, that kind of takes away from what I feel like he brings to you offensively.
That's fair, but Tyrese Maxey is 22 years old, and I got a prediction for you.
Okay.
In 4 years, you'll be embarrassed that you asked this question.
Well, I definitely agree. In 4 years, Maxey will by far be the best of the three. Yes.
No, but see, my point being is, like, if we put this up in like 2004, 2005, and we were like, start one, bench one, cut one, and it was like Chris Bosh, Kaman, and like you're gonna look at it 5 years from now and be like, I really shouldn't have been comparing Chris Bosh to Chris Kaman.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And I think that Tyrese Maxey is going to be the best pro of these three, and I don't think it'll be.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, Maxey's definitely the most mature of the three for sure. As far as that's why I want to have him start instead of on the bench.
I also think that him being 22 and learning behind one, and listen, we can say whatever we want about James Harden, learning behind one of the smartest point guards in NBA history, it's going to do nothing but great for his game when he gets to run the show completely. Remember, he's 22.
Mm-hmm.
That's a prize that the Sixers cannot let go.
But how was Hero? He's like 24.
23. So. Poole and Hero are 23. Maxey's 22. Maxey, when he got drafted, I think he was the youngest player drafted in this class. He's a baby.
Him and Manuel quickly.
Trust me, I believe all about that because I've seen Tatum and Brown. They were both really young, put into high pressure situations early in their career, and it's only made them benefit so far. So yeah, I agree. You know, Maxey being along with those two, he's definitely going to learn from it, and I would hope, like you said, Philly identifies him as the next like generation guy after Harden moves on and Embiid, however his body holds up, that they start turning the team over to Maxey and building around him. I would hope they would do that, but that's all up to their front office and what they decide.
You're absolutely correct. All right, well, been a fun episode. Had a lot of comments, a lot of people joining the show, a lot of conversation. Jordan, I just want to remind you that we good, we cool. I definitely have an issue with your teams, but I still love you, still care about you. Other than that, Big Tom joined the show, Freddie joined the show, having Jordan and Kyle here every week and talking about different barbershop conversations. A lot of fun comments in there. So I appreciate all y'all in the comments. And any final comments that you guys want to give a quick prediction on tonight's game? I think the Knicks win. I think they come back. I think they're down 4.
39-43 right now.
I think the Knicks win, and I think Golden State wins. I think both series are tied at 2, going to game 5.
I agree.
I think the Knicks are going to win tonight, and I think the Lakers have it because the Warriors are a bad home or away team. So
it's fair. Mm-hmm. Hey, Lakers are favored. I won't hate on you for picking your team again, but I think it'll be a fun night of basketball. I appreciate you joining us during NBA playoffs, and yeah, my man Control. I'm questioning.
Control, man. I want you to be a chatter on my show, man. That you're really a good contributor. The JJ Sports
chatter.
Talk.
I love you. All right, y'all. Any final comments?
No. Great episode.
All right, let's wrap it up. Thank you for tuning in to Cheap Seats Podcast on the Sports Empire Network. I'm Wire to Wire Gene. That's chomping at the bit, Kyle. The JJL Experience. Jordan, Jean-Louis. We're signing out.
There you go. Yep.